That's how I ended up on the S-curve, covered in milk.
Ooh, S-curve's dangerous. I can't imagine if milk was involved. It was a bad day.
You wouldn't even think. And then it was pretty cold this morning, so it was more like an icy milk shake.
Milkshake.
An icy milkshake. What's up, everybody? We are ZZP Power Hour number 140. Right now, it's just Bo and I.
We might be joined by a Turbo Tim. Black Friday.
Yeah, we got a lot of busy people around the shop, and we're just being a couple bums and drinking up here. But
Yep. We worked hard to get here, though. So
I appreciate everyone joining in the chat. Looks like we got a couple regulars, Adam Project, Dan North, Swartwout. I recognize that name. He's a 3800 guy, right?
yeah, I believe so.
Wet Fat Cat Scat. Woo! If you guys haven't noticed, today is Black Friday, and it is our only sale of the year, so you got a couple more hours. It's 4 o'clock now. You got till midnight to buy your things.
There's some really good discounts. I would say the coilovers.
Yeah, coilovers. We've been selling a lot of those
Coilovers
today.
are exceptional. Some of the intercooler packages, and both things that I think any of our platform cars would benefit from greatly. So if you haven't already checked out the deals, go look at the website. The website's super friendly this year, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
It's
no hiccups.
Well, and just it really shows you, what is on sale, notates your cost savings, and everything. So, yeah.
Zeke totaled his Cobalt last night. That is very sad. Hopefully you're okay. Obviously you're on the podcast, so you've made it. But I wish you well if you're looking for another one. Adam Project quantities are limited to typically what we have in stock. Stock's pretty decent this year. We do have some items that are up for pre-order, so take a look for those. I know we've been out of LNF Stage 2 cams for a while, and we just got those back in. Those are moving. So
Stage 2 cam is a great mod for the LNF. Compare those with a set of valve springs.
Yeah, Ecotechs in general were undercammed from the factory. It's not quite as big of a jump as like a blower LSJ, because those ones really need cams. But we also have those in stock too.
Jason, O2 GTP Turbo Pace Car. That sounds sweet. You should email that in so we can rate your ride on here. What's the email to send that into, Mike? Marketing@ZZPerformance.com, Jason. Send us some exterior pictures, some underhood pictures, some build info, and we'll go ahead and throw it up here and see what we think. I'm sure it's pretty sweet if it's a pace car with a turbo on it.
Oh yeah, any 3800 with a turbo.
That is what Tyler needs.
Deserves some attention. It is what I need. I would love
2-door blue.
Oh, the pace car is the Daytona blue, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good blue.
Yeah,
that's a good blue. I could go for that. So somebody find me a decent one. That's not $8,000, because I'm not going to buy a 3800 for $8,000. But
yeah,
yeah, Mike was out putting in the work. He was shipping today. I've shipped on Black Friday. It's an exciting place to be, because talk about nonstop. I mean,
the atmosphere in there is phenomenal. Music going, just packages and boxes flying, like literally flying.
Pallets full of packages being picked up by UPS throughout the day. Yeah, the amount of UPS trucks that we get in through here this weekend is...
Oh, they've been camped outside.
Oh, yeah. They just wait. They're like...
one behind the next, just in line.
Yep. Heck yeah.
Arcane got some cruise parts to fix his sister's car. Bo, did you buy anything for Black Friday?
I did not.
No? Nothing?
Nothing.
Got anything you're eyeing tonight?
A few things, but nothing too crazy. I was a little bummed. I've been keeping my eye out for some good deals. But car parts and just clothing and general stuff coming into Christmas, but nothing too crazy jumped out at me. There's the Beak.
There he is, Boosted Beak, coming in with the late ad.
How many Black Fridays have you been here for, Boosted Beak?
All of them.
Every single
Every one.
Have we always run a Black Friday sale?
No, not for the first few years, but the first one, man, it was insane. Like, Zoom just went on the website and he would just change a product price, and then and then he would. It was hard. We had Excel documents and times, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so complicated back in the day.
Well,
Yeah.
the old style sales where there'd be 10 intercoolers and the first 2 are 50% off, and then
Yeah.
the discounts would go down. That was probably pretty wild. Now we've got a nice website. It's all automated. Like
It did feel super like just like almost like a lottery back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool, but I definitely like how we do it now. I mean, yeah, they're like 1 or 2 people would get a really good deal, and then most people would be upset that it wasn't them.
Yeah.
So now at least it's everything is just on
One of the
sale
Black
and-
Friday deals that when you walked in, we were talking about if I was eyeing any Black Friday deals. One of the Black Friday deals that I was interested in was first 5 people get $100 off, and I'm like, man, I could stay up till midnight and get $100 off, but I'm like, I don't even want to try and compete for that. Like,
Yeah.
just give me a deal I know I can lock in.
Man, and back in the day too, like I don't know how many of the people are listening, but remember this, but our website, like it would go midnight and the website would just shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
I remember
crash.
that. I remember that. I remember refresh, like I stayed up 4 hours past my bedtime for this. Because I had a bedtime. I'm in high school.
Everybody was so mad at us, and we're just sitting here pulling our hair out, just like just work and accept money.
Yeah.
Like, and then everybody's
They'd
just
normally be
mad
up by
and we're like,
morning,
"Oh."
though.
Yeah. Man, we lost a lot of us core employees have lost some years of life from these Black Friday sales.
Yeah, Steve was talking about like 20-hour days.
Yeah.
We wanted him to get up here and tell some stories. Steve Hickman has all the Black Friday stories.
I wish that you guys could see the pile of packages. I mean,
Yeah.
man,
I think last year we took a picture. We should grab a picture.
Well, they already got picked up.
I did put one
Once-
on their story
Okay.
of
Okay.
a good pile, but it's gonna keep going.
Yeah, like when I just randomly went out there because I had a question, and I saw a pile of boxes that was 6 foot high, about 7 or 8 foot wide, and about 30 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like not really that late in the day.
Yeah.
UPS.
I mean, that was here when I got here this morning at 8:30.
Yeah. And then like we've already had a few pickups today. Like on these days, we talk to all of our shipping companies and we're like, hey, can you please send a second, third truck,
Yeah.
throughout the day to so you guys aren't here for hours loading.
I think
And they do.
I think it was last year, or maybe the year before. We had everything at the end of the day. We had everything over by where the loading dock used to be, and there was 6 UPS trucks, and they
Yeah,
were
that's
just
cool.
like filling them as much as they could. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
River Peacock Black Friday deals next year are probably going to be very similar to them now, but
Yeah.
I'd say pick up the stuff you want today if it's on sale. Tomorrow we do have 10% off basically the whole store, other than parts that we can't offer discounts on. But you got that. Monday is free shipping or 50% off international shipping, which actually can end up saving you
Big bucks for the
a
Canadian
lot
guys.
of.
All those Canadian guys that need, if you've been saving up for a big order and trying to consolidate your shipping, hit the click
Yeah.
on Monday.
Yeah.
Connor, if the full turbo kit lists in stock, then it is built to order. Typically, all of our turbo kits are. Our inventory guy may have just pulled the regular 257 out, so we could have stock for those big
Those kits.
turbo kits. Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, if you guys have any questions today, we really have nothing to go off. We're just gonna keep rapping for the next hour, so feel free, chime in. Derek, we used to do sales on engines, but they're getting harder to find, so
Yeah.
those are staying full price, but they might be on sale tomorrow.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I don't know how many products have exclusions for sales, but if you don't see what you want on sale today, then definitely check tomorrow.
Dean's mentioning work order numbers. I remember the first time I was here, my first Black Friday, and I was tuning the 3800s. I come in and I open my work order list, and I'm like, something's broke. That's not right. There can't be that many work orders. And then you start scrolling through, and you're like, nope, sure as heck, that's how many tunes I have to send a day.
Yeah.
we were joking because the 3800 guys, Black Friday comes around and they're like, yeah, I could use another tune.
Yeah.
The girlfriend's car
literally
needs
is-
one. Sure, why not?
Maybe I just need a new one for my car. I don't know. Just to have an extra PCM. They're always half off. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
weren't quite half off this year, but yeah.
That
Just
was
throw
funny.
a PCM in the cart.
I have a weird memory. Like my
40
memory
bucks?
is really bad, but like I have a really good memory with like a customer's last name and if they have our tune.
Uh-huh.
And I would see the same name. Like, what are you doing? Like, you already have this tune. Like,
It's like I've got one LSJ guy who orders a PCM update every 6 months. And
Just to check in.
Well, no, he
Oh.
flashes over to stock so he can pass emissions,
Uh-huh.
and then sends it back and then gets it on. And this last time I'm like, dude, just at this point you could have bought
Yeah.
HP tuners and I would do it for free.
Or
yeah,
just a second
do
PCM
that because then we can remote tune you to your car, your mods, which
Yeah.
is so much better. I know we've always catered to not having a tuner, but like you guys, you gotta have a tuner at this point. Like it is so worth it. You have no idea. Like mail order tunes do mostly suck. I'm gonna be honest. Like a remote tune is where it's at.
Oh yeah.
And mail order tune is like, hey, you have these random mods. Like this should work out for you to get the car started and drive around. But there are so many things that can require tweaks, or your fuel can just be terrible. Like
yeah.
you know,
See that a
remote
lot.
tunes
Lots
are
of benefits.
like-
or maybe, you know, and a lot of times, most of our base tunes or box tunes or can tunes or flash,
Yeah, whatever you want to call them.
a little more conservative.
Yeah.
I got a lot of 1.0 guys with like a stage kit who are running 93 who we can get 4 more degrees of timing in the car.
Yeah.
But
And,
yeah,
or-
you don't-
and lean it out, like, you know, so overall,
But
if
yeah,
we-
somebody could have loaf and jug, and then
yeah,
you
we
don't
can't
want
just ship you that aggressive of a tune because, you know, it's not the same across the board. But if you have a good runner, you did the mods right, and you got good fuel in it, there's always room for improvements. Shift points too. They're
Yeah.
normally spot on.
Everybody's got a little different tire
Different
size.
tire size.
Like,
That's what I was gonna say.
you know, different vehicle weights.
Yeah.
If your car's heavier, then it's, you know, we might need to bump your shift points a little bit. If it's lighter, we might have to lower them a little bit. Like there are a lot of factors that can like benefit from tweaks.
Not
like
to
with
mention, sorry, go ahead.
with the torque based ECM cars, so like the 1.4 turbos, the LTGs, and ATS-Vs, like I can't even say what the average boost is of each car because it is so different from customer to customer. Like I can't
yeah.
say, yup,
This
they
will be
all
15
end up.
pounds, yeah.
Yeah, they all end up at 16 pounds. Like they don't. Like
Yeah.
every customer car, like there can be a 4 or 5 psi difference between between email 1 and email 2.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, remote tuning is so key.
What I was gonna say is it's also a great way to make sure that your stuff's in check.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And then the second thing I was going to say is there's usually some fun factor we can add to it, especially on a 65E. Like if you want a little bit more aggressive shift point
Yeah.
or firmness in the tranny, maybe we need to play with the converter lockup because of your driving style or the cam you have in the car. But the biggest thing is being able to recognize is if your parameters are in check. You know, do you have a vacuum leak? All the
Yeah.
stuff that really makes a difference at the end of the day that you might not even know
Yeah.
if you're not actually scanning the car live. So
Yeah, and you know the PCM we all tune with fuel trims, and that's, you know, how GM's set up. It has a certain amount of adjustment it can make without setting a check engine light. So you
Yeah.
could have, you know, plus 20 trims, and
Mhm.
just having that scan will tell you what you need to know.
Because you guys got to keep in mind, if a vacuum leak, depending on where it is also a boost leak.
Uh-huh.
So if you know, obviously you can have a boost leak from the turbo to the throttle body. That's boost only. So you just lose potential airflow to your engine. But if that leak is on your intake manifold, that is a vacuum and a boost leak. So what happens is your ECM is like, oh crap, like I'm only seeing this much airflow, so I'm only going to deliver this much fuel. but the O2 sensor reports and says, hey, I need a lot more fuel. So it dumps more fuel in. And then what happens when you go into boost, you lose some air. So then all of a sudden now the ECM is already adding fuel, but the air that it did see isn't making it into the engine, so it's that much more rich.
Yeah.
So it's double rich at full throttle. Yeah, it's compounded rich. So like vacuum boost leaks are bad times.
Bad times.
I mean, we have a car just in house that Bo, you know, I was tuning. It was a car we bought from a customer. It had an intercooler on it. And I'm like, man, this car's got a weird drivability issue. Can you have the mechanics like pressure test it? And one of the mechanics is like, this thing's got a Mishimoto intercooler on it, and it's leaking out of both end tanks. So we just had to fix it with pulling that Mishi off and putting a ZZP one on, and then the car drove like way better.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
nothing against Mishi. They make a nice core, but the coupler situation isn't great. It's
Do they use the stock clamps on the LTG?
Yeah, and it was leaking out of both sides.
I don't like reusing those, especially, you know, they're all tension clamps, and sizing might be a little different, but Luis, 2-hour data log? I mean,
heck yeah, brother.
Anytime you can get, I always tell people now, you know, at least 15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes is my minimum.
Get me some good data. Something like 2 hours, that'll really fill in.
Man,
where
like,
you need it.
All three of us are tuners here, and like, we can scroll.
Yeah.
We can scroll.
We can go right to where we need to, anywhere in that 2 hours. What's really nice is you're averaging in a lot of the fuel trim stuff that we need to reference, so we can make more accurate adjustments the car truly does need.
Yeah, because I mean, you got differences between warm up and then once the car's fully up to temp, and so yeah, you know, feel free, get as much data as you want. You know, typically a short data log is way worse than being too long. I don't know if too long is even
Mike,
a thing.
I need like 3 more of these.
Yeah, I'll take that too.
As Mike sneaks in and out of the camera.
Yeah, sneaks in with some more bourbon.
I thought you were gonna bring some of them long drinks up.
I thought so too, but we were talking ATS-V things like,
Thank you.
Like,
yeah, let's talk about a little bit of ATS-V.
You know what?
stuff.
I'm
Not
gonna
too much,
sneak
but
a little bit of this
we
out
got
here.
some stuff to talk about.
We almost made 900 wheel horsepower today. I'm gonna say it's close enough to where I can say almost 900.
Is that what Matt was just
Yeah.
doing?
Is that what
Yeah.
I can hear?
And that is not on my car, which had the Zona kit. Like, this is on another ATS-V. So now a second ATS-V that has broken 800 here.
The black one.
The red one.
And,
I
to
mean-
be fair,
I mean,
we're just leaning on it.
something's
We're
red
not.
on
I
it.
wouldn't even say leaning on it. We're just getting it to work.
No, we built an engine because the ATS-Vs, yes, they all do make they all blow up. They all blow up. Let's just go ahead and put that out there.
Currently, the engines
But-
that we've been working with, head studs, main studs, our bearing combo.
Yeah.
And when I say bearing combo, you know, we take out the factory stop-start bearing. We have our own bearing that we like to use. King makes the bearing. Sorry, I shouldn't say it's our own bearing.
Yeah.
King makes the bearing. We run a Maxima RS 1040 oil with our tolerances in it, and it's got a main stud and a head stud. Other than that, it is a stock LF4.
Yeah, because for the people that, you know, might not be familiar with the ATS-V, when I say they all blow up, we're not melting pistons here. We're not breaking rods here.
Yeah, no, titanium rods, you're not.
It's
You're not
a
breaking
typical, you know, the blocks. It's 2 block halves, like
Start making power, things start moving, we
Yup.
go through the oil film, it touches a bearing off, the
Yeah.
engine's done.
yeah, like so much power. Stuff starts jiggling because I think that's what it's doing. It's jiggling, and then the main caps are just like this, and then of course you touch,
Yep.
and then it's over. Because as soon as you touch
Anything.
a crank
Yeah.
to a bearing, it's over. Because like there has to be that oil film there, and if there's no oil film there, boom, wiped out,
Mm-hmm.
done.
Well, and when you're working with cylinder pressures that are so high, it's
Yeah.
actually pushing the crank down.
If
Yep.
you run into any kind of knock situation, the cylinder pressures quadruple.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
gets
geez.
worse. You know, we got a customer car here on stock turbos that had some bearing, not a failure, but you know,
They were
tired bearings
Close, yeah.
because you know the car's making 600 plus wheel horsepower, and
Yeah.
There's a reason it didn't come from GM with that amount. Like,
Yeah.
you know, those cars need to go 100,000 miles with no problems at all. And when you
So currently
Like we
we're
always
just
say, double
we're just
horsepower.
approaching the LF4 stuff with keep it simple. You know, we have a lot of dreams for it, but currently we're just keeping it simple. Head studs, main studs, and our
getting
bearing
everything
combo.
in check.
Yep.
You know,
We're hoping that the main studs are the primary fix for it. We've
That
got
would
some
be
other
killer.
potential magic in it, but yeah. And Adam Project, nope, more than that. And Dean, a little less than that.
Oh my
but
gosh.
that's all the farther I'm gonna go.
Ooh.
It's wild. It sounds amazing. So
It
sounds
sounds
like-
amazing.
Anywhere in the building. It
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, shakes the building.
yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna be coming out with ATS-V stuff in the near future. You know, more.
Well, we have a good
kinda
product
took a
line,
break.
but we're definitely hitting 24 with the
Yeah.
ground running on the ATS-V stuff. We got 2 cars specifically that we're looking to make some stuff happen.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 3 kinda.
I
Yeah.
mean 3 if you
Yeah.
include yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have the fastest manual, so
from 2018.
yeah, from 2018. So I mean, there's not really a point to trying to compete with you auto guys. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
those
we bought-
autos are good.
we bought an auto like 2 years ago, I think.
Ooh.
The red
About a
one?
year and a half maybe.
A year and a half, 2 years ago, we bought an auto.
And it's been
And-
just kind of
It's been a pure R&D car,
Yeah.
like fuel system R&D car. Matt has been heading that up, and
it had
now
stock intakes on it until about a
Yeah,
month ago.
it did.
yeah, the
did.
car was very stock, and we were literally running like E98 fuel in it to determine fuel system stuff, just to put the max load on this thing, to determine like the max of the fuel pump load, the in-tank pump, like we
Mhm.
have all that data. And then now we bought another car that we're going to compete with all the rest of the ATS-V guys.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of ATS-V dudes are in here, so we probably
Nah,
should,
probably
probably should
not.
move on and not bore
Sorry.
everybody else.
Derek Chilson, tips for running corn long term. Personally, just put it in and tune for it. Like,
Agreed.
I've never. Now this isn't to
Long-
say that it is.
Long term, I would say 30 to 50,000 miles. You could pull your injectors, and just check the tip of the injector. What they'll do is form a little like teardrop shaped, like black gooey end on
Yeah.
the tip of the injector. And from my understanding, that's just some stuff in the tank, some stuff in the lines, slowly making it to the injector tip. Because the fuel system isn't 100% rated for ethanol. It's completely fine to put ethanol in it, but it's stuff making it through the filter, or in an Ecotech's case that doesn't have a filter, and it'll just gum up the tip a little bit. And this is, like I said, 30,000 miles. So if you just take the injectors out and clean them every couple of years,
Yeah, do a fuel filter. I mean,
I would
like on
say
an LSJ,
long term that's the only that and a fuel filter. Long term that's the only recommendation.
do a fuel filter every year. They're $10. When you're doing them often, it's easy to get on and off. When they've been stuck on there for 15 years, they suck. But
My ATS-V has been on full E85 pump for years.
Sorry, I can't.
And
I'm not talking about new stuff like a 3800 with E85 in it for 30 to 50,000 miles.
yeah,
Yeah. I think
replace your plugs often.
once a year on
the
the
biggest
plugs.
thing is, I think you guys just keep in mind E85 it sucks in a lot of moisture. So
Mhm.
maybe your oil changes, like, don't push your oil
Yeah.
changes, like
Short
keep
that-
your oil
trips.
changes, and do not forget to put some anti-seize on the spark plugs when you put them in,
Yeah.
because E85 is so dry. It's such a dry fuel that it's trying to pull
Moisture out of
moisture
everything.
from everything.
Yep.
So like the problem is with it is that your spark plugs can get seized in the head. We haven't run into that problem in a long time now, but it was a problem originally. So a little tiny bit of anti-seize on your threads and you're good. And then make sure that you don't have like evap and EGR deletes. Any vented hose
Yeah.
from your fuel tank,
is gonna get
it's
air
if,
in there. Yep.
like the
The
old
evap one's
3800
huge.
guys with the EGRs, and they just like put an EGR blockout plate on it, have an open hose to your fuel tank. Evap deletes with open vent tubes to atmosphere. Like, that tank is so dry, it's pulling in water, and water is heavier than gas. And if the car sits for a long time, like you could totally have like water in
Like
the
a
bottom of your
hydrolock,
tank.
Yeah.
You know, if you daily drive it, it's not going to happen because ethanol will absorb some water and you'll keep just drawing it in. But the biggest thing is like, hey, like there is no horsepower gains to deleting your EGR and your evap. So just keep all that stuff hooked up and working, and then you don't have to worry about water at all.
It's 2023. We don't need to be doing that kind of stuff. Adam Project made a good point, like Bo said. Don't drive 3 miles all the time. Even on regular gas, that's not good. You want to get that oil up to temp
That's
so
the
it can
big
start
one.
to burn off.
And that's not just the
short
thing
trips.
for your hardcore mod car. Like
That's any
that's
car.
bad for any car.
Yep.
Yeah. You
Like-
really got to get that oil up to temp to boil out the water.
Yeah,
Um,
at least if
Your
you
PCV
drive,
system's gonna your PCV system's gonna do what it can, but you really need a long drive. I would recommend if you have because I used to be in the same situation when I worked at my dad's shop. I drove 2 miles a day with an E85 car.
Yeah.
Not great, right? So I'd let it warm up every morning. I'd drive it to work. I'd shut it off. I'd run to lunch in the car.
Yep.
Come back.
Shut it off. Yeah.
Lots of bad short trips. So once a weekend, every Friday, I'd get the girlfriend in the car and we'd go for an hour drive. Because I like to drive the car anyway, but it was good to just literally just burn off that moisture that the oil has collected and absorbed all week long of short trips. So, and I know even
yes, Craig, do not do the EGR delete anymore. Hook it back up. It's fine.
I pulled my Regal it was like 2 winters ago. I had a lot of stuff going in my garage, and I didn't have like the Regal stored.
Yeah.
But it was in the garage when it could be. So there was several times all winter that it got moved out of the garage and parked in the driveway, and then I'd pull it back in at the end of the weekend. Like all that.
Yeah.
I pulled the engine apart to I don't know what I was doing. You know me. I was doing stuff. And I pulled the engine apart, and the valve covers in the rocker arms on the rear side specifically were covered in that white foamy oily nastiness. And I was like, this is E85 right here. Like just the game you play with it. Got the Regal on pump gas for storage this year, and it's not starting at all, but
Yeah, and I'm the lazy route where I just keep E85 in it all.
I've done that for many years without an issue.
And I've
It's just
never had
this-
a problem.
If you're don't be starting it up and moving around all the time.
Yeah. Here's one. I had not a ZZP platform car, but funny. So I lived like 7 minutes from work, like 6-7 minutes from work for a while. That vehicle, I would drive to work, and by Thursday, if I made a short run for ZZP, the vehicle would not start if I shut it off, because that like 5 to 7 minute drive, like over 4 days, wasn't enough to charge the battery for the amount of starts that I put on it.
God.
Yeah, dang.
It had a smaller battery than stock, but not a race battery.
Yeah.
It was basically kind of like a Honda battery, like a Honda
little
Fit
Fit
battery. But yeah, that vehicle, like that was not enough time to even charge it.
It's crazy.
So what I would do is like once a week, I would just get on the highway and take like the long route home, and then I was fine.
Yeah.
But the first time that I had to put a jump pack on it to start it at our powder coater place, Coatings Plus, was pretty embarrassing.
Oh, I bet. Dairyland LNF, Dairyland LNF Stage 2 cams, pros and cons. All pros, no cons.
Yeah, I agree.
Not
I
a
agree.
single con.
It's a variable valve timing car.
Yeah.
So
The no drivability loss at all.
None.
Yeah. The only time where you might notice it's a little bit different is like idling around a parking lot.
Ryan Derrick
That's about
does
it.
let his car idle for hours on end.
Hours. I've
Hours.
seen that dude leave his car idle for like 3 hours before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear-
Snowball.
I swear he forgets about it half the time.
Like 3 hour starts. Like that's excessive.
But yeah, LNF on a Z57,
Oh, man.
100% do cams.
Man,
Valve springs, like, there's no reason not to, and you can pick up, I mean, on a Z57. Didn't we have one that recently came with a 57, then we did cams? I feel like we did that this summer. and they picked up some pretty solid gains. But
Off the
you know,
top of my
part
head.
of that is replacing your valve springs. Especially old whooped stock ones are less than their original rating. So even getting fresh valve springs, whatever they are, you know,
We had that happen this summer. The fresh valve spring thing.
Yeah.
it's huge.
Old build, like early 2000s 2.4 build.
Uh-huh.
Matt's like, man, this thing acts like it doesn't have a valve spring.
Ryan just said it's never been for hours.
It
His
is
snowball idled
100%
for like
been
half
hours.
a day once.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
Ryan, we're gonna call BS on that.
Yeah, half a
I've been here
day.
5 years, and I know it's
You're,
happened more
you're
than
not here to
once.
defend yourself, so that's all I gotta say about
Yeah,
that.
he called
it was
in on
days.
he called in sick on a day you can't call in sick.
The one day.
The one day
Yeah,
you can't
it's
call in sick.
Oh,
Like
that's
I'm
funny.
late.
Shake, let's let it loose.
Yeah.
I'm
Black Friday's
late.
the topic. Might as well call him out.
I'm late to the podcast because it's Black Friday.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
Ryan,
down
I
there.
just want to make it known. I drove from Detroit this morning at like 5 a.m. So, you know.
I woke up this morning and I was still sleeping. And I'm like, oh, Tyler's driving right now from Detroit.
Oh, and it was one of those like when I fell asleep last night, I passed out.
Yeah.
Like was just zonked, and I woke up and I'm just like, okay, in the shower, you know, just
It did
Getting-
feel great when I drove in this morning and knew I wasn't the longest drive.
yeah.
I knew somebody was coming farther.
And I'm on the highway and I'm like, I need to stop to get an energy drink. I'm like, no.
Don't got time.
Just power through. Let's just get home. And I'm glad I did get home because I was still a couple minutes late. But that's okay. At least I'm here, unlike Ryan. That's okay. We love you, buddy.
The stingers.
I probably have emails saved from Zoom saying, if you take Black Friday off, I'm going to show up to your house.
Yeah, but Zoom's in what, California?
Yeah,
This weekend, so
He's-
He's
he
the
can't.
one guy who can get away with
Well,
it.
yeah, he kind of built the company, so that's fair. No, we love Ryan. It's all right. He knows it. But
Yeah, shout out to Ryan for, even though he's sick, he is working.
Yeah, he
is
was
doing
working.
customer service.
Yeah,
We love
he
it.
is working from home, so that's cool. We're answering like the same email a couple times today. So.
yeah. I saw somebody asked about aluminum intake gaskets on a 3800. I assume that's you just have to do it.
Absolutely
Yeah.
the only thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
They
all you have
are-
to do
they
is
are technically reusable, but by the time you RTV up the valley, they're not normally very reusable.
Yeah.
Why? Who let that pass through? That you
the
have
plastic design
Yeah.
or what?
Like,
Well, it's just so the
just
two.
that you have to RTV it. Like
Well,
they
the-
came out with a revised
Oh, yeah.
gasket, and they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
just
If you look at it, the two valley gaskets lay like this on each cylinder head, and then there's one that connects them on the bottom of the valley there, and in the corner, there's no real good way to seal it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
oil can just seep out, and you could probably run it without any RTV and just have like a real slow seep
Yeah.
of what flings around in the lifter area. But at the end of the day, you just want to dabble a little RTV.
It's the same as a Sonic with that front
Yes.
covered
Oh my
block
God.
seal. Like
I even
What?
go ahead and just put
So
RTV on the top and the bottom of the intake manifold and the top of the block. Just a
Yeah.
big RTV cake, you know.
Just don't put enough where you have to use a pry bar to get it off. Like we've
No,
had some
that's the
customers.
intercooler. Guys who
Yeah.
intercool or RTV their intercooler on too much. I've seen pictures back in the day of guys with cherry pickers picking the front end of their car up by the blower
Oh my god!
because it won't separate from the limb.
yeah, I've
That's
seen
when
it
you
too.
know you've used too much RTV.
just
See-
a real light coating. That's all
Very
you
thin
need.
film. And
gotta-
we use
you gotta keep
Garlock
in mind-
gaskets.
You got to keep in mind, like that blower is the topmost part, and you have to spin it. If you use too much RTV, it will literally distort the housing to where it's hard to spin the blower by hand.
Oh, like it actually flexes.
yeah.
It?
This also applies to LSJ. It's just fortunately the LSJ has a gasket that doesn't require
They got
RTV.
a really nice gasket on the LSJ.
Like
Yeah,
I'm a
gasket is
fan
nice.
of using a finger with RTV, so like just enough to where you can barely tell the color of the RTV as you put it on the gasket.
Yep.
That is well enough.
Yep.
Because you have a CNC machined intercooler plate, you have a CNC milled intake manifold, and you have a CNC milled blower.
Like it's all flat.
That's all flat. That's all true until you screw it up with putting too much RTV on. And then
you
now
wanna
it's
bolt
tweaked.
it down and just barely see it peek out.
Squeak out.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of squeak in there. Dan North, we honestly probably won't bring back Stage 1 LSJ cams. The Stage 2 is such an upgrade over... I mean, it's been years since we've had Stage 1s. Just grab the Stage 2 cams today. They're $100 on sale. Like, yeah, I would 100%. That's what I'm going to do in the blue car. So yeah, if anybody's wondering, that's the next step for the blue car will be Stage 2 cams, valve springs, and then now that the dyno's over here and it's so convenient, I'm going to put together the video and do all the pulley sizes.
Nice.
3.4, 3.1, probably 2.9, 2.8, see where it takes us. But that's one thing I've always wanted to do. And
On the new LSJ Heartbreaker dyno.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Just
not
a
gonna.
bit of a heartbreaker,
Can we talk
but that's
about
okay.
Drew Rogue?
Druid in Oregon?
Yeah, thank you for reading that.
Druid in
3800 supercharger with 106,000 miles. What to do to keep it reliable? Well, you're going to definitely want those intake gaskets we were talking about.
Yep, the aluminum ones.
Mhm.
I had a bone stock L67 car with 79,000 miles on it. I drove it till 83,000 miles on it and realized it was due for intake gaskets. I said, I cannot believe this. This is why I bought a low mile 3800. But yeah, intake gaskets, coolant elbows. Do the Dorman, and we're working on some ZZP stuff for the coolant elbows. Get you aluminum coolant elbows. Get you aluminum intake gaskets.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I got some in my desk.
Fuel filter. Transmission service.
Yep.
Yeah, and that means like filter fluid change only.
Yep.
Do not flush.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then
do not flush.
Anything after that's a bonus, brother.
And,
keep 93 in it. Get our 1.0 tune. You'll be happy.
Pull the water pump off.
Spark plugs. Sorry.
Spark plugs for sure. Pull the water pump up. Check the impellers out.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're good. I've seen those things. I've seen water pumps come off where the impeller they're just ate away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
the
they're
nice thing.
eroded away.
If you have the intake off to do the lower intake manifold gaskets, and you have the tensioner assembly off to do the elbows, the water pump's looking at you right there.
Yeah.
You might as well do it because the system's drained and the pump's super cheap. The bolts are super easy to get to.
Yeah. That's
Do the
nice.
water pump.
And when you put all that back together, make sure that wire harness is tight up against that front cover, because what it does is it works its way out, and then the serpentine belt
Rubs it.
Yeah,
the ICM harness.
and then you start having
okay.
misfires and weird issues. So
If you got the coolant system apart again, our 180 or 160 thermostat, great mod. Couple of podcasts ago, we were talking about IETs on a 3800 and how we can't get them below what the engine is operating at. So if your engine's operating at 205 degrees, your IETs are going to be 205 degrees.
That's hot.
So if we can knock 20 or 40 degrees off of that with a thermostat, do the thermostat. You still got honestly, everybody should go for the 160 in a 3800 because you still get hot heat.
yeah,
And they'll run like 165, 167 on the worst days, and it's
and that
Perfect.
engine seems to like to run cool. Like
yeah, they do.
they make the most power the cooler they run. So there's something probably to do with piston to wall clearance
Yeah.
to where that engine just likes to run cool. So it's not like you're going to give up a ton of gas mileage running a 160 thermostat. Now, if you running around at 130, you might give up some fuel economy, but
Yeah.
160 is good.
Somebody mentioned a coupler and oil change. I typically don't like to dig into the blower unless it absolutely needs it.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Yeah, when you have the pulley off. So GM actually rates that fluid for lifetime.
They do.
If you have the blower
stinks,
off,
but
I'm
they
down to dump it out and change it. It
Literally.
ain't going to
Yeah.
hurt a dang thing. But grab your pulley and just rotate it back and forth. And if it has some play in it, maybe you need a coupler. But if it's tight with that rotor pack, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like that's where we get our motto: "Go fast, not broke." Like we don't tell you to buy everything in our catalog.
No, it's available if you need it. But
So
It is very easy to get parts happy on a 3800
sure is.
at 106,000 miles. I mean, you could add a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What you need, not much.
Josh Denton, I love your question. 250,000 miles L67. Is it still worth modding?
Hell yeah.
I had a 97 purple GTP that had 260,000 miles on it. The car was clean, the engine was clean. So it's not like it had any extra attention. The previous owner just did the oil changes on time.
Mm-hmm.
They did their oil changes every 3,000 to 4,000 miles. That thing was super clean. We put an SS intercooler on it, a downpipe, tune and 1.9 rockers, and ran like low 13s with it, like
Not bad.
almost 20 years ago. So
Dang.
yeah, if the engine is clean, if you pull a valve cover and it's not black and nasty and stinky,
Yeah.
heck yeah. And all the people, like, I get people emailing me like almost daily, and they're like, "Oh, should I rebuild my engine?" No. Don't rebuild the
don't
engine.
take it apart. Don't let the magic out.
It's fine. Yeah.
Tyler.
There we go.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, I was gonna grab a couple. Noah Hammock, get our ZZP adjustable tensioner. It is so much easier to change belts, change pulley sizes, whatever you need, because we got that reverse threaded bolt. It works great.
Yep.
There was another comment about an LNF lower intercooler pipe popping off. Yeah, let me. Oh, I think it was Gordon. Yes, your ZZP intercooler pipe definitely should have come with T-bolts. Shoot me an email if you need some. But yeah, a standard a standard worm drive clamp isn't gonna
They
keep
don't
No.
ever
25 pounds in
work.
there.
They never work.
And I tell everybody with intercooler pipes and clamps, friggin' send it with an impact. Get that thing just zinging, and don't worry about it. Like, what's a $4 T-bolt clamp and not have to worry about that?
Yeah. Like what I do, like get everything in place, have all your T-bolt clamps in place, jiggle stuff around, move stuff around, get everything to a rested, seated position, and then run
it home.
everything home. Impact gun.
My trick is if it's a little old, because like I pull my car apart every year in
Yeah,
the intercooler, and it's all intercoolers gather some form of oil in them. They just do.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And so like your pipes are oily and your couplers are oily. I love to brake clean them out and brake clean the pipe, and sometimes even install it with some brake clean on it, and it almost just like glues itself together because
For
that
sure.
brake clean slips over easy, and then you
when it
run the
dries,
clamp
yeah.
down, it's dry.
Or
It's a dry connection. Heck yeah.
or some good old hairspray.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
But yeah, on the topic of high mile 3800s, keep it simple like always. Don't be afraid of it. I got an engine in my car that's got 157,000 miles on it. It's not a ton, but it's one of my favorite engines ever.
Same with LSJs. Our Black Ion had 235,000 miles on the clock and was bone stock until we threw an entry level kit on and made over 400. Like that. Yeah, I think Bo said it, but I am totally in the do not let the magic out
Yeah, I am too.
camp. Don't touch it. If it's good, don't touch it. It'll be good.
All right. Chris Boltman jumped
Chris,
in.
Yeah, Chris, I don't mean like the half-inch impact.
Chris Boltman is our head. He's our head mechanic. Like, you can't run it home with one of his guns.
No.
He does this for a living. But us poor boys, us poor boys with our Makitas or cheaper, yes, you can send it with those.
Yeah, no, not the big guns. Actually, probably the best thing to use is the electric ratchet.
Yeah.
When you can get that thing down towards the end where it's just like, it's probably tight enough.
I love how Chris says that because he's the king of over tightening. He loves tight couplers and clamps.
Paul, is this our Paul?
That is definitely our.
That's our Paul. Paul, you do not need to retune for a smaller pulley. I would absolutely recommend pulling up, or just send me a scan.
This is a killer question.
All right, yeah. Paul Clark.
I'm gonna start. You take it, Tim.
Okay.
Your pulley is only increasing the airflow through the engine if
Which-
you have the right mods behind it, like cams, rockers, exhaust. From there, it's a MAF-based ECM, and it's going to adjust everything accordingly.
Yes. Now, so the pulley, as he said, only changes the airflow. If you run a bigger pulley, you're going to have less boost. If you have less boost, then the ECM sees less boost and it will have more timing.
Mhm.
If you add a pulley that's smaller, it's going to see more airflow and it's going to automatically reduce the timing. That does not necessarily mean that a smaller pulley is better,
Mhm.
because it's all about a balance. Like when Paul says racing events, that is so vague. Like that's a question that we're all like, what? Like what kind of racing event? Are you going to road course this car? Are you going to
Quarter-mile,
do
autocross?
Are you
like-
going to do 8 road course laps? That's going to require a lot larger
Oh, yeah.
pulley, therefore less boost than if you're going to do a single quarter-mile pass on a day. So it's
a
all
dyno
about
pull.
the heat.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about Tyler here is that he runs his LSJ, but he runs big pulleys on him.
Stock
So
pulley?
he can time attack the crap out of his car because he's got like full mods with the stock freaking pulley on.
Yep. And
Like-
you never have to worry. Like it's we have a great customer. His car was in here last year. Kyle Brackey. He just went down to. He lives in Florida. Went to Poconos Raceway, I think, last week, and he was emailing me and sent a scan. Just said, hey, I want to make sure things look good. And I'm like, yeah, man, they do, but your IAT2's after a 2.3, just 2 gears, and he was on a 2.9, I believe, or 2.8.
Yeah.
Were like 140, and I'm like,
Ah,
you're gonna be out for 20-minute sessions over, and every single straight you're doing this back to back to back to back to back, and yeah, you got a lot of airflow on a road course, but like he's like, I'm gonna bring the larger pulley and slap it on. I'm like, fantastic idea. Yeah, throw that in.
if he does what he says he's going to do.
He
Well,
yeah,
I
he
can
does. He's-
I can agree with that. If you've got even a full modded, properly modded LSJ, it can run a 2.8. If you have a
Oh, yeah.
full modded, properly modded 3800, it can run a 2.8. If you want to beat on it for 20 minutes at a time, it needs a 3.0 or a 3.2.
3.1, 3.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you
but-
want to beat on a car for 10 minutes straight, like, you should be running a pulley multiple sizes larger than, like, what Paul just chimed in and said, Paul knows, it looks like. He is like, you run a smaller pulley for the street when you go through, like, 2 or 3 gears and then you let off.
Mhm.
That's exactly true.
Yeah.
You
don't-
It's,
You don't need any tune updates because as that pulley increases your airflow, the MAF sensor sees it
Yep.
and it adds fuel accordingly.
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
that's the other part I didn't
we're
mention.
very fortunate that GM is all MAF based. It makes it
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
The engine always knows that the LSJ PCM especially and the 3800. It has no idea what pulley size is on the
Doesn't know, doesn't care.
car. Doesn't care because it's
If I
like,
s- if I
have
see
X
this
amount of
airflow-
Here you go. That's what you get. So and going back to what Tim said, this is another reason why remote tuning is so great. I got a guy right now. Sent me his first scan on a stock pulley, and it was only like 7 pounds. I'm like, man, that's pretty low. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to put the 3.1 on. Can you adjust for that? And I'm like, all right, same file. Here you go. here's some trim tweaks. And his 3.1's only making like 11 pounds, and he's done his due diligence. He looked over the rotor coatings; those look good. His bypass valve works, all that. And I'm like, well, it's either just a really well-running engine and you got some good mods to support it. And I'm like, he's like, is that bad that it's low? I'm like, no, 11 pounds, you were sitting really good.
Mhm.
But it can put things in a weird area. If especially in the timing chart, if you're expecting a certain amount of grams per cylinder or grams per second, and at 11 pounds it's way up higher, so his timing was a little high. We adjusted that. So same thing. Every car comes with the same tune from the factory, but not all cars are the same. So
Biggest thing is check your bypass valve too. They're adjustable on the 3800. I think they are on the LSJ.
Mhm.
With zero vacuum in this system, engine off, that bypass valve needs to be slammed shut, if not
Yeah.
preloaded lightly on
Yep.
the set screw.
yeah,
when it sees vacuum, it pulls that flapper door open and lets the bypass valve open. When you get into a wide open throttle situation and the vacuum is gone and you're approaching boost, that bypass valve closes so that all the airflow is being forced in the engine. If that bypass valve's squeaking a little bit of air past it, you're going to show low boost numbers. A bypass valve that doesn't function on a 3800 makes 4 pounds of boost. Don't matter what pulley you have on it. If you see 4 pounds of boost in your 3800 and you're like, man, I need more than that, check the bypass valve, and I guarantee you it won't be closing all the way with engine off. What's nice is you can check that in your garage. The bolt holes are slotted so you can adjust it.
Yeah, you can move it around.
And just get it set with a little bit of tension on it.
The LSJ is a little tougher to really see. I mean, obviously you can't see. It's bolted down to the intake manifold, but it's 4 bolts to get a LSJ blower off. Like, remove the coupler, undo the evap connection and the connector, and remove the belt, and zip that thing off, flip it over, and move the bypass valve through its range of motion. Because got another guy today. He's got one where it was cracking open, and same thing. He had low boost, but these are just things that we do this every day, so we know. And
I got a funny story when it comes to that.
Oh yeah.
So we had a customer come in, an Ion, full bolt on M62 Ion, Redline, and I'm doing a pull, and his boost is dropping off through the pull, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm looking over the car, and I'm like, okay, let's make sure his bypass is closed. His bypass is closed and hammered shut, and I do another pull, boost falls off, and I'm like, what is going on? So I go grab one of the mechanics, bring the mechanic into the dyno bay, and I'm like, watch that frickin' bypass valve when I'm at full throttle.
Yep.
So I floor it on the dyno, and he's like, yup, the bypass opens. So I'm like, okay, why is this happening? Because it's
creating vacuum at wide open throttle.
Yes, because it is a vacuum boost actuated, product. And so I'm like, all right, like, the bypass is opening at full throttle. Like, it slowly creeps open at full throttle. So that means that it's telling me that there's a vacuum on the intake tube, which is pulling a vacuum on the bypass valve and opening it up. So I start digging my hands. I unbolt the fender liner, and I reach in here, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
Oh, no.
This dude had 4 T-shirts zip tied around his air filter.
What? Why?
I've heard this story.
For water, I guess.
Oh, no.
He kept getting water in his intake.
So he thought a T-shirt was the best idea.
Yes. Pretty funny. So I took all the T-shirts off, and it made a good power.
Pro tip. Do not.
So my it's funny. It's all funny. But like, if you guys do custom stuff,
let us know.
Just let us know.
He didn't on the dyno sheet. He didn't put 4 T-shirts on intake.
And the thing is,
current mods, T-shirts on intake.
They're 100% cotton though. They'll breathe.
This is.
At least it wasn't underwear.
I'm embarrassed. I probably burned like 4 dyno pulls doing this. But it's like,
why would you ever think that?
That's the kind of things in a remote tune that'll throw you for a loop for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't imagine diagnosing that. Like, because there's always a first time that this happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the thing is, like, the customer, like, I love you guys. I love you guys. I want to start this off.
Start this tone.
But you guys, sometimes you kind of do that to us. And it's really hard to diagnose.
No, you don't cut up your ZZP T-shirts.
I soak them in oil like the K&N filters.
It was pretty funny.
They were intense T-shirts.
And it's funny because they don't know any better. And if I said, hey, I'm having this problem, like, he wouldn't be able to tell me, like, that's what it was. He would, I had to figure that out on my own. And it's like, and of course I didn't charge him for that extra time.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I guess this is just a learning experience.
You bring it here, you want it to work, we want it to work.
Yeah.
Usually whatever it takes to an extent.
Yeah. But that does happen. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Oh,
wild.
Man.
Wild.
I've seen so many things, so many self-engineers, like, and they never remember that they do that stuff.
The third.
Man, I would have put the filter right on the throttle body at that point.
I mean, I would just maybe figure out where the water's coming from
Yeah,
and make sure
that
the water
too.
doesn't get there. And I think it was because I think he had like, I think he had some broken front plastics.
Yeah.
So like the front tire was sending water right into the filter, if I recall.
Yeah.
Fender well intakes are really cool. They are hard to maintain.
Yeah, you
I
got to
mean,
make sure you have everything
They're
there.
not hard at all if you use
Good
common
fender
sense.
liner.
Yeah.
Check in my opinion, you can't run a fender well intake without a pre-filter.
Like, how about this? I'm going to exaggerate this
What's
to make
nice
the
is
point.
all of our ZZP filters have pre-filters now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to exaggerate this to make the point, but like, let's say you have a car and you slammed it on its nuts, like we like to refer to. It's on its nuts, and then you have like bigger than stock tires on it. And then when you turn, it occasionally rubs. Guess what that's rubbing on? Your wheel well liners. Guess what your tire does with water? It throws water forwards. So you literally can be just throwing water on your air filter.
When it doesn't take much to soak an air filter.
It really doesn't. And it doesn't it doesn't take much to piss off your MAF sensor either,
Yeah.
because the MAF sensor is a little filament and it just sends a voltage across it. And
When
like
water
as the
hits it.
water, as the
Then it
as
goes,
the air,
It
I'm
grounds.
sorry, is flowing across that filament, it's like, oh, it takes this much voltage to like keep this filament warm. Well, when you throw water at it, it's like, holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
you know, water's like
This is
what
so easy.
the best conduit of like, or the best heat
Conductor, yeah.
conductor, yeah. Like, it's
Yeah.
bad times. So, water is bad. Water's real bad.
Water is real bad.
And like, and you guys, like, obviously we have to create products that you can easily bolt on your cars, because most people, the car that they buy and ZZP sells mods for is potentially highly their first car.
Oh, yeah.
It's their first mod
first car modifying.
So with that, we have to keep products like pretty easy to install. So that means our cold air intake does not block off 100% of the heat that it could. Because
Yeah.
if it did, it would take 3 more hours to install it.
Yeah.
And cost like a lot more. So like what you self like engineer guys can do is you can build little shields to block more of that hot air off. And holy crap, does your tuner love it, because like you know how much faster your car feels on a cold day.
Oh.
Blocking off hot underhood air from your air filter does that every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like Bo was saying today, it was sunny and cold, and man, the
Oh,
boost
man.
weather has you.
Yeah,
You
I
know
wanted
what?
to get
I'm
the
gonna-
Regal out so bad to go to Thanksgiving yesterday. I was telling Sarah, I was like, can we get the Regal out? Like, I have to ask her. But I was like, babe, should we take the Regal to Thanksgiving? She's like, no. And I'm like, come on! It's a
It's
good
so
day to
much-
go for a drive!
so much cooler than the
Because
HHR.
Regal is just slammed in the garage, covered up, battery unhooked, full tank of
Yeah,
Man,
fuel.
there ain't no salt yet on the roads.
I
Pull that
know.
thing out.
Yeah, but you
It's,
Pull it
it's
out.
so hit or miss, and I was so preventative this year because like I've been bit probably 2 years in a row now, and it pisses me off.
We had some early November
yeah,
snows the last
snow
few years.
comes.
Yep.
So I'm
October,
like,
yeah.
Of course, the year I'm like, we're putting them away. We put them away, and then we're sitting here on Thanksgiving, and it's 40 degrees and beautiful sun.
Yeah.
Not a speck of salt on the road
Yeah,
yet.
I know.
I'm like, man, I could use some boost in my life right now.
Talk about a perfect day. Yeah, the blue car probably feels pretty good today.
You know,
I love Adam's question. I think you boys should go around. Before we do, what are we doing this weekend? What are you thankful for?
Thankful for automotive related. Ooh, okay.
What a great question.
man, I'm gonna start this off.
Yeah, go
Here
ahead.
we go.
I am thankful for frickin' turbos, man.
Hey, that's a
Oh
good one.
man, like, you know, I've got this little 1.4 Sonic, and all our little stuff, our ATSs with the 2 liters and that damn LNF, which is like the best engine ever made. Quote me on that. Like, turbos, man. I love turbos. Somebody decided to harness exhaust energy.
Wasted energy.
It wasted exhaust energy. I love it. And to make more power. Like, holy crap.
It's a beautiful thing.
We're gonna harness this wasted exhaust gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna
All
spin
this heat and
a compressor wheel
We're
that
gonna
forces
shove it
more
right
air
back
in
in.
it.
Yes.
Right back in.
Boom.
Love that.
man, I would really
a good
like to
one.
see some like OG, like original turbos and
Oh, yeah.
see like their wheels. What was it just a circle with 4 flaps on it, completely
So,
straight?
4th
and
of
then
July episode, we did automotive history. Next 4th of July, let's do turbo.
turbo history.
What was
Alright.
it? Wasn't it the Regal T-Type from like the
Yes,
80s?
It was.
That had-
Was.
It was a V6 turbo. And if I recall, that car used window washer
Yeah,
Yes!
it did.
to
Yeah,
intercool
cool,
itself.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was not intercooled.
Yeah,
Hell
that's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
And man, that V6. Oh,
Dude, don't get me started.
I know.
bro.
I know.
That's
It's
Man.
a precursor to the
That's a
3800.
real good one, boosted beat.
So is it true that the 3.8 that came in the GN was a precursor to the 3800? Like, is it the same engine architecture, or was it
There's
a different
not much.
V angle?
There's not much similarities.
Ah, okay.
Unfortunately not. I would say it's probably closer to a Series 1 3800, but I could be wrong. I honestly don't have a ton of Grand National knowledge
Well.
because I don't have the money for Grand National knowledge.
I can't believe they came out with it because they came out with that Grand National at the peak of the most pathetic V8s ever
Oh.
made.
So, you know,
Talk about 200 horsepower
my
shit boxes.
so as much as I love Grand Nationals and respect them greatly, one of my life goals is to have a late 80s Regal.
Yep.
It
T-Type.
D-type.
White.
It doesn't even have to be a T-type, but
Okay.
I like the T-types because you can get the white, and it
Mhm.
has to. I like the white, but I would kind of like a ratty, just G-body Regal, and put a turbo 3800 in it and call it the Nasty National. You know, like
Yeah,
Series
that's-
2,
I like Yep.
67, fucking whatever.
Oh, man.
just
Do you know Dave Norris has one of those? Dave Norris at Triple Edge Performance,
Does
the
he
guy
really?
the only builder of the 3800 4T65.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he has a Regal with a Series 2 3800 in it.
Oh,
So there's a
And
guy
he
that
drove it up to our shop like
that's cool.
10 plus years ago. And I was just fawning over this thing because I was so jealous because I had an 84 Grand Prix,
hmm
which is the same car.
Yeah,
White
yeah.
with the blue vinyl top and T-tops, like
nice.
the...
There's a guy that
V1.
floats around on Sloppy Mechanics. He has a four-door Malibu, Mike.
Mike.
4-door Malibu G-body.
What year?
The year you got G-body 4-door, early 80s, I think, right? 84, 83.
78 to 83.
Yeah.
Tim 300 WSM. No, you do not need a tune for a catback.
So anyway, it's twin charged
Oh, nice.
in a 4-door Malibu. And he floats around Sloppy Mechanics and it's pretty clean build. It's cool.
Yeah.
G-body, any G-body with a 3800 in it, it's got my respect.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gordon
Does
Barclay,
He's got a distributor on it still, or
No,
Turbo-
dude, it's a 3800.
Turbo Omni.
oh
I'm
yeah.
in.
Turbo
Awesome.
Omnis are cool. I'll follow up with what am I grateful for? A good car year. Just overall good modding year. Good.
Shoot, you're right, dude.
It was yeah.
I like
we
it.
should reflect a little bit. Like,
It was just a good year.
SCT was good.
All like the events went well. We had
Drag Sonic did its thing.
Drag Sonic ran great. All my cars
Never even
did well.
turned the NOS bottle on.
Tail of the Dragon did great.
Never opened the NOS bottle.
didn't have a single nitrous event on the. Even though I tried turning it on every
Even
time,
more
but-
full spectrum, like our R&D and overall just
Yeah.
everything has
Everything.
been
The
great.
building, the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. 2023, if we could only even do half of what we did in 2024, we're going to be somewhere.
Oh yeah. But yeah, good cars all year. Selling cars, modding them, whatever. It was just solid.
I'm gonna get sentimental on this one.
Here we go.
Oh man, are we get our tissues out? Get
It's
our
not
eyes
too
dried
sad.
out?
It's not too
Do,
sad.
do I need some more bullet?
I'm glad 10 years ago I bought a stupid 2-door Grand Prix, and I'm thankful for that.
I'm here with you. Same
I'm
thing
so
with my
glad
base
that
model Cobalt.
I'm so glad that I pitched my mom that this was going to be the best college car I could ever have. Mom, I'm going to run this 85 cents a gallon fuel in this car because it's E85. Because you used to be able to get E85 for 85 cents a gallon. And then it went to like 95, and it was like $1.09. But either way, I was like, look at these savings. I'm driving to community college, Mom. I need a car that's efficient, and it runs this fuel. And we have the Midwest biggest ethanol plant 2 miles from our house.
Yeah,
And
that is pretty killer.
I'm gonna fuel it there every day, Mom, and I'm gonna drive it to college. Little did she know I was gonna blow that sucker up so fast, and it was never gonna go anywhere again unless I was wrenching on it and spending way too much money on it for all of my college years.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I did. And then one day at Dino Days, I met Turbo Tim, and he goes, "Man, this is a good one." I said, "Damn right." That was basically my and Tim's relationship from the start. He said the same thing with the Regal. I was like, hell yeah, brother. Ain't that what it's about? What a cocky, arrogant a-hole I was. But you know, honestly, when I was young, I put in the time. Like, I genuinely put in the time. And at Dino Days, when that was like 4 or 5 years after I bought that car, and I had done everything. And I was nervous as hell signing up for that Dino Days because, there was a lot of people here.
Yeah. The 3800 ones.
And it's got to pull on it.
Great crowds.
And unfortunately, I wasn't a remote tune guy. So, I pull in on a 1.0 PCM. What an a-hole I was. On a full build XP cam, and that sucker puts down high 360 wheel, and I'm like, yeah.
It made what, 360?
On a freaking mail order too. Man, I'm good.
Is he good or am I good? I don't know.
I think we're both good.
Dude.
Yes.
It's a good thing we're the guys tuning your 3800s nowadays.
A good wrench, a good tuner.
Yep, there you go.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm thankful for, because I wouldn't have been able to be here for this Black Friday. I'm sitting in the office all Black Friday, and I told Tyler, I'm like, man, I'm so happy to be here. I honestly couldn't be more content about being here. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else other than in this building on Black Friday. So that's what I'm thankful for. The car that got me here, and today for being a super clean and successful Black Friday.
Yeah.
Man, I second that. Think about the choices we made. I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping on this too, but the choices we made to get us to where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
and it's
crazy.
just honestly, a lot of those choices I couldn't have been more doubted for, but didn't give up,
Yeah.
And that's all I can say to you guys with a 3800 or any platform car at home is, maybe your girlfriend don't love it. Maybe your mom don't love it. Make sure you prove them wrong. Make sure you prove them wrong, because you know what? At the end of the day, you got a heart and you got a vision to do it. Follow through with that stuff.
Yeah, and really, as you only live once is silly. It's true. To make the best out of your 20s and 30s within your means. Don't go bankrupt trying to mod your 3800 or Cobalt or whatever. But
on the topic of Black Friday, I would budget 6 months out to save $400 to spend today. Not that $400 is a lot of money,
but
you know what?
Can get you somewhere.
I knew Black Friday was coming, and I would make sure I had something. I would spend every penny. I'd wait till midnight on Black Friday, and I'd surf that site.
And cars are not a good investment. Even if you don't modify them, they're not a good investment typically. So this is everything that we do here goes against the grain of most people. They're like, "What in the world are you doing with this 2005 Cobalt?" Hey, have fun.
The way I talk, because I'm obviously install bay manager, and I get a lot of builds, and everybody's like, "Wow, why are they doing that?" I was like, "Well, why does your uncle spend $20,000 on a split bumper 70 Camaro?"
Yeah.
It's his dream car.
Same exact
It's his dream car. It's the car he wanted in high school.
Yep.
It's everything that he wanted when he was 18, 19, 20 years old. And
Finally had
just
the means
because
to do
you
it.
have the funds to do that Ion build with the 257 and the F40,
That thing's gonna be a riot.
you do that shit, brother.
Yep. Dan, I'm gonna grab you right before we get to what are we doing this weekend. I know you had mentioned getting an ATI. An ATI is a great investment, but honestly, grab a new stock crank pulley. It'll be fresh. We have them on the site. You can run that with the stage 2 cams. The rubber center basically is what eventually ends up degrading and it'll break. But
It fails on every GM vehicle, every GM engine that has it.
yeah,
so
if you grab a new 0 mile one, that's no issue with stage 2 cams. I mean, that's what I'm gonna do at first.
Yeah, that would be interesting to try.
Yeah. But anyway,
Obviously, we always love the ATI, but yeah. We'll
what
rev it either
are
way.
we doing this weekend? It's Friday. We got
This weekend is
2 days off.
looking like good weather. I'm gonna split some wood.
Ooh.
Get the
Oh
wood.
boy.
I burn wood all year in the
Some
garage.
Serious adulting right there.
I know. I
Gotta
saw.
get that wood split so I can come over and drink some beers in that garage of
You
yours.
betcha.
That is a good garage to drink some beers in.
We should
I'll
do
tell
a
you
little
what.
beer day. I saw a thing today. A man who cuts his own wood sweats twice. One when he cuts it, and one when he burns it. But yeah, just splitting and cutting wood because I heat the garage with wood all winter, and we're gonna have a nice weekend, and I need to get it ready and dry it out, and split up, ready to throw on the stove when it's January, and I need to pull the valve covers off the Regal and do some tinkering. But yeah,
That's good. That's good. I have no plans this weekend. I think we're gonna, I don't know, hang out with some people tonight, and then I don't know. I might work on the base model, but
I won't.
I won't because if I'm buying a 9.3 Sport Combi, then I don't need to. So it'll sit there for a little while.
I love that.
What about you, Tim?
I just got the last F1 race to watch. That's
Yep.
pretty much it. So,
That's exciting.
I definitely know the wife needs a break. Oops, I said the wife again. My bad. My wife that I love very much.
My lovely lady.
Of course, man. I didn't watch the race live because it was like 3 a.m.
I
or
was
something.
up at the beginning of the race.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, we had went out and then we came home and we were just sitting around watching TV and Erica's like, all right, I'm going to bed. I stayed up until like 20 laps in.
Ah.
It was cool to catch it live, but it was late.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's always
Super late.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch the F1 race, and that's pretty much it. Do
Yeah.
some old people things. I do the bowling league on Saturdays.
Hey, nothing
so
wrong with bowling. I love
a little bit of
bowling.
that.
F1 Vegas provided some really good racing.
I mean, it screwed my guy over. Sainz got pumped by that manhole cover.
Yeah, he did. 10
And
places.
I saw a freaking, and then I'm like going
Then
on
he crashed
Facebook.
again.
Yeah, like ruiner. My freaking guy crashes on practice 1. Like, oh my gosh.
I know.
But anyway, yeah, that's it. Some bowling and some F1 and some relaxing after this crazy Black Friday. Probably have to come in and do some work.
I want to end it on Noah Hammock's comment.
Yeah.
Thanks to our shipping team.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Happy Black Friday, guys.
I appreciate Noah. I appreciate you recognizing how hard they're working right now while we're horsing around up here.
Yeah,
I know,
we
right?
get the easy job up here. And they're putting in the work, and they have all day. So we appreciate everyone for coming on. Thanks for joining us day after Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.
We sure
Yeah.
will.
Peace.
141.
141.
Later, Gators.
No, today was 140. Yeah. Well, that's all right.